Okay, welcome everybody. So I'll invite you to come and lay down on your back on your mat. You can start any way that feels comfortable for you, but I'm going to invite that we start in constructive rest. So laying on the back with the knees bent and the feet on the floor. And you can have your hands resting by your sides or on your belly if that feels comfortable. And just start to check in. Notice what your breath is doing. How it feels to come to a place of relative rest. Maybe your mind is doing stuff as well, just kind of gently observing it. And taking a moment to acknowledge the land that you are on and your relationship with this land. And maybe checking in with any intentions that you may have come to the mat with today. Maybe there's something coming up now, something that you want to keep in mind during your practice. And when you feel ready, we can start to invite a little bit of intuitive movement. So basically what that means is that you keep your eyes closed and you just kind of allow your body to move however it wants to. If that feels a little too vague, I'm going to give some suggestions. So for example, washing the knees from side to side and allowing your head to roll in the opposite direction of your knees. So you're just coming through this little gentle twist. And with that intuitive movement, there's really no wrong thing. It's just a practice of kind of listening into your body, seeing what your body wants to do, and trusting that whatever that is right and good. And as we're doing this, we're also just kind of noticing, what our bodies are holding, areas that are feeling tight or asking for attention, and also noticing what the breath is doing. And then when you're ready, we're going to take this into a little shoulder washcloth. Okay, so some of you guys know this one. So you can just relax your legs, the knees can rest against each other again. And we're going to do some movement with the shoulders. So you can inhale, and then as you next exhale, roll your right shoulder inward so that the shoulder blade kind of comes off the ground. And you might notice your head wanting to turn to the left. Relax your arm down and then go the other way. So the shoulder blade slides down the back and the arm externally rotates. And then relaxing through center. We can try that on the other side. So the left shoulder rolls up and then relaxes down. And then the left shoulder blade goes down the back, the shoulders rotating in the opposite direction, and then back through center. Okay. And then we'll see if we can bring those together. So make sure you have enough space for your arms to be open out to the sides. And as your right shoulder rolls forward, the left shoulder will roll back. And then we'll come through center. The right shoulder will roll back, the left shoulder will roll forward. So it's like squeezing a wet washcloth along the spine. And I just want you to notice what other movements might be happening. So your head is probably going to be rolling a little bit. Your neck is going to want to be involved here. So just allow that. And you might notice your legs wanting to get involved too. So you can allow the legs to fall from side to side as you work through this twist. And you could move the knees away from the face, or honestly not. I'm noticing that my knees kind of want to move in the same direction as my face. So I'm actually just going to allow that today and see what that feels like, rather than requiring that it be this twist along my spine. I'm just going to notice what it feels like to let my body go where it wants to go. Good. Let's take a couple more breaths. And then when you're ready, let's rest. So you can allow your legs, you can allow your arms just to relax where they are. Your knees could fall together or apart, or you could straighten out your legs, just taking a moment to receive that experience. Lovely. And then we can gather the hands in, so maybe just resting them on the belly again. And place your heels underneath the knees, so the knees point straight up to the sky. And then inhale, we're going to arch the spine. So the tailbone is coming down towards the mat. We're increasing the arch underneath the lower back, belly's expanding. On the exhale, gather your pelvic floor in and up and press your belly button towards your spine so that your back flattens to the ground. Okay. And then just a couple more times, inhaling, tilting the pelvis forward, expanding the belly. Exhale, gathering in the pelvic floor and the transverse abdominis, pressing the belly button back, curling the spine. Okay, one more time like that, tilting forward. And this time, on the exhale, gathering in the belly and then press into the heels and let the hips lift off the mat some amount. So it's kind of like a little mini bridge. You don't have to go too high. And then gently releasing down, arching the spine. And curling and adding, if it feels comfortable, that lift, pressing into the heels and squeezing the bum. And just keep going at your own pace. And this is a little bit more of a Pilates style bridge, not a yoga bridge. So we're not trying to come into a big back bend necessarily. We're activating the glute muscles. Try to keep your knees over your heels so they're not kind of wandering all over the place as you do this. Okay, and then if you're lifting the hips, next time you lift, let's stay. And we can move it into a little bit more of a yoga bridge if that feels comfortable. So the hips lift, and then you can take your elbows beside your ribs, press them down and apart and let your chest open a little bit more. We haven't warmed up the shoulders too much except for that washcloth. So see if the fingers will comfortably interlace around behind your back. And you could lengthen the arms and press up a little bit higher, hugging the inner thighs together. And then gently release that. Let the knees fall together or apart. Take a few breaths just to receive. Beautiful. And then bring the knees back up to over top of the heels. Do a little bit of core here, and then we'll move on from this position. So inhale again, just keeping the back neutral. And then exhale, gather the pelvic floor in, belly button in, but this time keep your spine nice and neutral. You can stay here or interlace your fingers around behind the back of your head and lift your shoulder blades up a little bit. Let's start with our marching, lifting your right leg on the inhale, and then as you exhale, put it down. Lifting the left leg as you inhale, and as you exhale, putting it down. So this is a simple movement, but the thing I want you to be thinking about is keeping the pelvis really steady and continuing to draw the belly button in and up. Keeping the jaw and the neck relatively relaxed. Okay, and if you're feeling like this is easy, you want a little bit more to work with, you can lift the legs up off the mat, and then you can march down so the toes tap down on the exhale. Or even work with straight legs if you feel like you want to add even a little bit more weight. But keep that belly drawing in and up. This shouldn't hurt in your back. Try to keep the jaw soft and use your breath. Good, you guys are doing great. Feet nice and active. If you need a rest, take a rest. You can always come back in. Let's try for one more each side if you can. And then rest. So you might want to hug the knees in this time or take a happy baby. Soles of the feet to the sky, knees open wide. Rock a little. Beautiful. You can extend your legs up to the sky and give them a little shake. And let's come away from this plane. So we'll make our way up to hands and knees. And you can do that by rocking and rolling forward and back along your spine, or you can roll to one side and then press up that way. We're just going to start with cat and cow, which could be done in a seat as well if you don't want to be on the hands and knees right now. And if you are, fingers spread, or you could be on fists with the thumbs forward. And just start to move the spine. So I'd love for you to come back, if you can, to that intuitive movement kind of intention. So you could close your eyes and just see how your spine wants to move. So cat and cow means little back bend on the inhale. And on the exhale, we curl the spine in. But again, moving intuitively, maybe there's a different way that your spine wants to travel around, making circles, side to side movement. Again, there's no wrong thing. Sometimes we have this sort of internal feeling that we need to get it right. And this is a place where I'm just kind of inviting you to maybe put that aside or soften that a little bit so that you can just feel it, explore a little bit and not have to worry about whether it's correct or not. Maybe there is no correct. Okay, and then we can add on a little bit. So this is actually a little bit more core, but it's a bit different. So I'm gonna bring my hips back to my heels and walk my hands a little bit farther forward. I prefer this with toes tucked under, find it gives me a little bit more support. And I'm going to draw my belly in like that cat pose, and then pull the heart forward into a little bit of a back bend. And then I can pull that through my arms, coming into a little bit of a back bend. Okay, so I may have said that wrong. The hips go back to the heels. We're curling forward and then pausing in a plank shape, kind of a straight line there, and then pulling through to a back bend, but make sure that you're not collapsing into your lower back, and you don't want to go too far. It should feel good the whole time. So this is sometimes called the water wheel. And it might just be kind of a fluid movement sort of feeling for you. If you want to make it a little more core focused, you could take an extra breath in that plank moment before you move on. And again, just exploring that for yourself, where that place is for you that feels right, what your core is kind of willing to do today. And then next time you come forward, let's lower all the way down to the ground. So we're in our bellies. We're just going to do a little bit here. If you're not comfortable on your belly today, you could be seated instead. Okay. Or you could keep working with that water wheel if you want. So let's just take a little rest. You can reach the arms back behind you. Excuse me. Sorry for the coughing today. Make soft fists with your hands and circle them just to release the wrists a little bit before we move on. And then relax your hands. Press the tops of the feet down. Lift the kneecaps up, pubic bone down, engage your glutes. Hug your shoulder blades together and down your back and lift your chest. You may or may not lift your hands as well. And then gently lower down. We're just going to do that 3 times. Inhale, shoulder blades come together and down the back. It's almost like the shoulders are doing the work of lifting your chest. It doesn't have to be high. And soften. One more time. Maybe this time stay. You could link your hands around behind your back, hug those elbows together, and you might find that allows you to lift even a little bit higher. Try to keep the back of the neck nice and long, so we're not cranking the back of the neck. Spread the toenails on the earth. Inhale, and then gently release down and rest forehead or cheek to the earth. Relax your bum. If you want, you could wobble your hips from side to side. Okay, and then spread your toes again. Activate the kneecaps and the glutes, and then bring your elbows underneath your shoulders. So you're coming into a Sphinx pose. If this feels a little too intense, you can slide your elbows forward. It's going to be a bit less of a back bend. Okay. And we're just going to hold this for a few breaths relatively actively. So the feet are pressing into the earth, glutes are engaged, and you're kind of pulling your hands as if you were sort of dragging your belly along the earth to get a little bit longer. Elbows pressed down and a little apart, which you may find widens your shoulders. Back of the neck long. And then rest. Come on down, opposite cheek to the earth or forehead. Relax your glutes, relax your bum. You can wobble your hips if you like. And then when you're ready, let's come into child's pose. So you can bring your hips back to your heels, toes together, knees as wide as you like. You can have the arms forward. You could rest your forehead on stacked fists or palms. Sometimes it's nice to have the hands resting beside the hips. And just rest here. Child's pose is such a lovely energy. Most people quite like this pose, not everybody. But it's intended to be kind of this feeling of curling up and feeling safe and just resting. Breathing into the back body. You can stay right here, or let's add a side stretch. You can reach your arms forward and walk them over to the right, coming up onto fingertips of the left hand, or plant the left palm, right hand rests on top of the left. And then pull your left hip a little bit to the left and back so that you get that lovely stretch along the left side. And breathe. And then gently coming through center and all the way over to the other side. Right fingertips are lifted, or palm can connect. Left hand grounds the right palm, drawing the right hip back. Breathing into the right side. And then when you're ready, gently coming back to your hands and your knees. So coming through center, rising up. And if you're comfortable with downward dog, let's take a couple breaths there. If not, you could just extend one leg back at a time. You're taking downward dog, hands nice and wide, and you could pedal your heels. Beautiful. And then when you're ready, come on back down to your hands and your knees, please. We're gonna do a little bit more work on the hands and knees. So if you need to come to your fists at any point or fingertips, feel free to do that, okay? So hug the shoulders onto the back, draw the belly in gently, nice and neutral through the lower back. And then go ahead and extend your left leg back behind you, tuck the toes, and just press out through the back of the heel a couple of times. It's like a little pulse, the calf. And then slide your left foot a little bit off to the right so your legs are slightly crossed, and look over your right shoulder, coming into a little bit of a side stretch kind of a feeling. And then back through center, and you're going to slide your left foot all the way off to the left so that it's perpendicular to the rest of your body. I'm tucking my right toes under here. You can choose to do that or not, and sticking the bum up a little bit. We're just going to rock back and forth. A little bit of a stretch into the inner thigh there. And it doesn't matter how far back and forth you're going, just to where it's comfortable for you. And I'm hoping you're feeling a little bit of an inner thigh stretch there. Okay, and then come through center. This is a little bit of a funny transition. We're gonna come and bring that left ankle in front of the right thigh. So it's like a number 4 shape on your hands and your knees. It's sort of a pigeon, a little bit, variation of a pigeon. So you might need to have your knee a little bit more angled. That's fine. Just kind of see how that works for you. Again, toes can be tucked or not. Just take a couple of cat and cows here. Just noticing how that feels in your hip. This might be plenty right here, okay? Or you might stick your bum out and lean back a little bit, just getting a bit more into that hip. You could even come down to your elbows and kind of lean into that left hip. Nice, you guys. And then you can gently rise up as you're ready. untangle as best as you can. Extend your left leg back behind you, and let's just take a couple of circles. So you're gonna bring the knee in towards your nose, out to the side, and back up to the sky, just sort of reintegrating that hip joint. So drawing the knee in towards belly button, open to the left, that's it, and back up to the sky. One more time. Beautiful. And then we can take a rest. And what I'd love for you to do is come to sitting on your heels or standing on your knees. We'll just do a little wrist release. Yeah. You can take your fingers nice and wide. And then as you exhale, curl the knuckles down. Inhale and spread the fingers. Exhale and curl the fingers down. So you feel that little stretch in the backs of the wrists. Good. Inhale and exhale. Nice. Let's do one more. And then we'll hold in the little paw position, softening the shoulders. And then you can circle the wrists softly, maybe shake them out if you want. I'm a big fan of the flick. Not sure why, but tracing the fingernails along the palm, something about that is quite soothing for the wrists. Okay, and then let's do that little sequence on the second side. Remember that you can absolutely be on your fists if your wrists are starting to talk to you. Okay, so the right leg is going to extend back, tuck the toes under, and just give it a little pulse. And then take that right foot, straight leg, right leg off to the left and look over your left shoulder. So it's a bit of a side stretch. You might feel it in the outer hip a little bit. And then you're going to swing your right leg all the way over to the right. I like this with my left toes tucked under. You may or may not. See how it feels for you. Stick your bum up a little bit, and then we're working with just a little rock forward and back. You can kind of see how far down you want to go or not. Just looking for a little bit of a stretch in the inner thigh. Lovely. And then we're going to come up through center and take this funny number 4 position. So we're kind of tucking the right foot in front of the left leg. Toes tucked or not. Can be on an angle to see how it feels. Again, if you stick your bum up a little bit and lean back slightly, you'll probably feel that outer hip stretching. You can also lean a little bit more into the right hip. You can also come down to your elbows. Sort of a pigeon pose. Beautiful, everybody. And then when you're ready, you can gently rise up. Untangle your right leg, extend it back, and then we can take a couple of circles. So the spine stays relatively the same. We're just bending the knee in towards the body, open to the right, and then circling back, and we'll try that 3 times. So I do want you to feel a little bit of that. Oh, that's my outer hip there working. Beautiful. And then let that go, and we can come to sitting on the heels again or standing on the knees. We'll do that little wrist release. Spreading the fingers, and then curling the knuckles down. Spreading the fingers as you inhale, and curling. And again. And maybe hold this time. Draw the shoulders down the back. Tuck your chin in. And if you like, you could add a little neck stretch, reaching the right ear towards the right shoulder. Up through center and then left side. Up through center, and then release your hands, give them a little circle. And actually, let's do this yoga mudra. So you can bring your palms together and then make a little circle so that the backs of the hands come together and then the palms, and you're just kind of rotating at the wrist. It's easy if you don't think too much about it. And then try going the other way. Beautiful. Nice, everybody. And then let's release that. Again, you can shake the hands out a little bit. And then I'll invite you either to take child's pose or downward dog, whichever one sort of feels right for you in terms of a rest pose at this point. Maybe you're feeling like you want to be up high, pedaling your heels. Maybe you want to rest in child's. Maybe you want a little of both. Nice. And then let's make our way to standing forward bend at the top of the mat. So if you're in downward dog, you can just walk forward. If you're in child's pose, you can gently step up and walk your feet to your hands. You can rest your elbows on bent knees. You can hang down, maybe holding opposite elbows. Fingertips might be on the earth to support you. And then you can rest in stillness, just kind of letting your neck relax. Or if you want to sway or bend one knee at a time, that's welcome too. And then let's curl up to standing. So nice and slow, weight in the heels, gathering the belly in, head and shoulders relax, rolling up one vertebrae at a time. If that doesn't feel safe, of course, you can rise in a way that does feel safer. When you get to the top, you can roll your shoulders onto your back and just take a moment to receive. Beautiful. Okay, let's do a little half sun salutation working with the breath. So in a recent class, we were working a lot with Ujjayi, so we'll just do a little brief recap of that. So as we inhale in movement, we want to think about gathering the belly slightly in. The ribs are going wide and up to the sky. And on the exhale, they're kind of gathering back and down towards the pelvic floor. So there's a movement to the breath. On the inhale, you might find that the arms want to rise up to the sky. And on the exhale, we'll fold. So you can come with me here, bending the knees and folding all the way down over your legs. And then halfway lift, feeling those ribs widen and expand like a parachute opening. And then exhale and fold, deflate to the earth. Bend the knees generously, look forward, rise all the way up, feeling the ribs expand. And then exhale, hands come together in front of the heart. So that's the half sun salutation. We'll do a few more of those. So I invite you to close your eyes if that's comfortable. Inhaling to rise and exhaling to fold. And you could bring in some more of that intuitive movement quality here. So maybe you're adding, maybe you're pausing, maybe you're wiggling, right? The thing I'd like for you to be focusing on is breathing. And that as you inhale, you're expanding in some way. And that as you exhale, you're folding or contracting in some way. So don't worry too much if, or at all, if you're following my pace, if you're doing the poses quote unquote correctly, just see if you can follow your breath and enjoy. And then next time you come to standing, let's stay there, just allowing the hands to come to the heart or rest by the sides and take a moment to receive. Yeah. So I'm remembering in person, we used to be able to listen to each other breathing and kind of be in sync. And that doesn't always happen over Zoom, of course, as we can't hear each other, but I could feel and see that today we were actually in sync, which is nice. We were kind of moving together, which is doesn't always happen, certainly doesn't always need to, but it's kind of nice when it does. Okay, so we're standing up near the top of the mat, and let's inhale again, reaching the arms up to the sky. And then exhale, just as we did a moment ago. Take a halfway lift, and this time we'll step the right foot back and come into a low lunge. So you can pad your knee if you need to. Maybe double folding your mat, then reach your arms up to the sky. So draw the tailbone down a little bit, hips press slightly forward until you feel a bit of a stretch in the quad. Inhale, and as you exhale, open the arms into a cactus shape, hugging the shoulder blades onto the back. Reach the arms up, inhale. Exhale, cactus your arms. Let's do that one more time. And then hold in the cactus shape, letting the shoulder blades lift your heart to the sky, but keeping some engagement in the core so you're not collapsing through the back. Beautiful. And the next time you inhale, reach your arms up. This time as you exhale, open into a twist, taking your right hand to the outside of your left leg and just letting the left arm open behind you. Okay, shoulders onto the back, and just gently stretch that left arm back so that you feel a bit of an opening in that kind of inner pectoral region. You might bend the elbows slightly, draw the shoulder down the back. Inhale, and as you exhale, gently come back and we'll take pyramid. So you can bring your hands to either side of the front foot, and you can also grab your blocks here if that's helpful. Pick up the back knee and step the back foot in a little bit so that it's pointing forward. Okay, lengthen your heart as you inhale, draw the left hip back. And as you exhale, melt over the leg. And if it feels good to keep breathing like that, you can flow. Inhale to lengthen and exhale to fold. Maybe you're feeling like you'd rather be still and breathe there, and that's fine too. And then we'll gently step to the top of the mat. Beautiful. And let's roll up again. So if you're comfortable, bend the knees, take a few breaths maybe. Shoulders and the head are soft. Core is engaged, though we're supporting the spine the whole way up. Collecting the shoulders onto the back. Beautiful. Let's reach the arms up again, inhaling. Exhale, dive to the earth. Halfway lift, and then step your left foot back. We'll come into that low lunge. Pad your knee if you need to or want to. Push your arms up. Hip square, tailbone down, and a little press of the hips forward so that we get that lovely quadricep stretch. Inhale, and then as you exhale, take that cactus shape. Inhale, reaching up. And gently open. And up. And open, and let's stay here for a couple of breaths. Shoulder blades lifting the heart to the sky. Okay, and then inhale up again. This time as you exhale, twist to the right. So the left hand comes to the outside of the leg. The right hand is reaching back behind you and the palm is open to the right. Is that right? Yeah. Shoulders down the back and just gently opening the chest, maybe bending the elbow a little bit. Amazing. Inhale and then gently turn back and take pyramid. So hands return to the blocks or the floor. Pick up the back knee and you can step that back foot in a little bit so that the heel can comfortably land. As you inhale, lift the heart, draw the right hip back. And as you exhale, you could fold. And then maybe you'd like to flow that way, lifting and lowering with the breath. Or maybe you'd like to pause and breathe, just thinking about the spine lengthening with the breath. Nice. And then when you're ready, softly step forward to the top of your mat. Take a halfway lift. Exhale to fold and roll up. Again, take your time. When you get to the top, take a moment to receive. Maybe there's fidgeting, maybe you can be in stillness. Notice what your breath is doing, what it wants to do. And then let's come down through a squat. So you can widen your feet apart, maybe mat's distance. That might adjust as you go. Your hands could be at your heart. And then bending the knees. You could definitely pause here with the elbows on thighs, or you could bring your hips down and lower them onto a block. For some people, having something underneath the heels is actually the key to squat. And if this hurts at all, just sit right down on your bum. We'll meet you there in a moment. Okay, think of engaging the glutes and lifting the toes up a little bit. So that may help your hips to open. Just getting nice and long through the spine. Take 3 deep breaths. Beautiful. And then we can sit down if you're not already. Release the legs, give them a little shake. And then we'll come to a comfortable seat. We'll do a little bit for the neck, maybe a little bit more for the shoulders. We've been doing some of that. So feel free to sit on a block if that's helpful. You could sit on your heels for this one for sure if you don't want to sit cross-legged. And take your hands to either side of your body, just up on fingertips. And you can stay right there or you can inch them back a little bit. So you might feel a slight opening in the chest starting already here. Just kind of finding a comfortable spot. Shoulders down and back. Lift the back of the neck a little bit so the neck is nice and long. And then let your chin come down towards your chest. And then slowly roll over to one side. And just take your time. Eventually the ear will come over the shoulder, maybe even lean back a little bit, but there's no rush. In your own time, rolling the chin back to the chest and then over to the other side, just as slow. Keeping the head soft, so you're not pulling, you're just kind of allowing. And eventually coming down through center, chin to chest, and just pause there. And then bringing your head softly back up to center. Walking your hands back into neutral or onto your lap. And let's take a couple rolls for the shoulders. And roll the other way. And then settle and receive. Good. Okay, so we're going to do a little side bend flow here, and this can be sort of as fast or as slow as you're comfortable with. So you can take the fingertips down beside you again. This time we're going to sweep one arm across, look down, and then up and open into a little bit of a side stretch. And then turning the chest down again, same fingertips sweep back across where they started, and then the other hand comes across, looking down and then opening up. That's it. And then looking down and just take a few of those. So this might be relatively quick. You might be pausing, slowing it down in certain places. Sort of opening and closing the heart. And massaging the air into the lungs. About one more each side. Beautiful. And then coming through center, allowing the hands to come to either side and then returning to seated. And maybe you want to take those shoulder rolls. Beautiful. Okay. Let's take the legs out in front of us again and give them a little shake. You probably won't want your cushion to sit on for this. We're going to bend the knees so that the feet would be about mat's distance apart. And then we're going to knock them over to one side. I'll mirror you. So let's say to the left hand around behind you, right hand across to the knee, lifting the chest and gently spiraling into your twist. And then softly through center and just all the way over to the other side. So the knees knock to the right, right hand behind you, left hand across, lifting the chest and gently the whole body spirals. Beautiful. And then back through center. And we can wash the knees side to side a couple of times. And then I'll invite you to take the soles of your feet together and your knees open wide. And you may want to sit back up on your, your little cushion. And I'll invite you to take the heels not too close to the groin. So it's kind of like a little diamond shape. And if this is bothering your knees already, you might want to put something underneath your knees just for a little extra support. And then sitting up nice and tall to start, we're going to come into this really nice and slowly. So the chin can drop to the chest. You can do a little pendulum swing very gently and slowly. The head at first can roll side to side. And you're keeping it kind of loose and soft. So the shoulders might move a little bit with the neck. And then the upper back could get involved. You start to lean forward a little bit more. And then the hips. So don't worry about how far down you're going. The image I like here is a leaf falling from a tree, kind of catching the wind and flowing down in a little bit of a swing. And you can just go nice and slow, and you can pause anywhere that feels like it's a nice stretch for you that you want to pause for a few breaths. There's nowhere to get in particular. Some of you might find that you're coming down through center and you do want to stay in center, being in the forward fold. Others may want to keep swinging from side to side. We'll take a couple more breaths here. And then you can gently roll yourself up to seated. Take your fingertips behind you, lift your chest. And then gather in your knees. And sometimes I like to just kind of give myself a little hug there. Good. And then we're going to prepare for Shavasana. And some of you may want to rest in your Shavasana in a little bit of a chest opener. So if you'd like to lay back over the bolster and rest in Shavasana that way, you can. You could also do that with a pillow or a block, or you could just rest in your Shavasana. So put your layers on, get as comfortable as you can. If there's a last pose or something that you need before you can kind of complete your practice, feel free to go ahead and do that. And eventually, you're just going to lay in a place of rest, letting go of any conscious breath or conscious work. Receiving your practice as it is and resting. So take a moment to notice how you're feeling right now. And if you have the time and you would like to rest here longer, you are more than welcome to do that. Otherwise, you can start to wiggle the fingers and toes, deepen the breath, maybe take a stretch. And then draw in the knees and gently roll over to one side. And take a breath into your back body. And when you're ready, you can come up to a seat. Hands at your heart or over top or wherever feels most right for you. And gently bow your mind to your hands, taking a moment to honor and acknowledge whatever it took for you to get here to your practice today. Honor and acknowledge the long and complex lineage that is with us in our practice. Honor and acknowledge the sacredness of the land that we practice on. Thank you for sharing that practice with me.